All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Out of the Park Baseball, where today we're going to be taking over the struggling Minnesota Twins, who recently have blown up their team, traded away Carlos Correa, Johan Duran, amongst others, at the trade deadline. The owners, the Pollards, wanted to sell the team, but now it looks like that's not going to happen. They're just going to take additional investment. But it's interesting that the team was pretty much blown down, not entirely to the studs, but it's not great. There's not really much left. You've got Royce Lewis, who hasn't quite performed at the major league level in the way a lot of people expected for a first overall pick. And you've got Byron Buxton, of course, who's very injury prone. And he's played 2 seasons. The last couple of years, he's managed to avoid injury, but he's a very talented, injury prone guy. And I don't know. I feel like taking over as the GM here. I think trading away. I think trading away Byron Buxton has got to be one of the main priorities here at the start, at least in the first offseason. We're starting from September 1st, the day of roster expansion. And we obviously are just going to simulate pretty quickly here into the offseason, probably do the offseason in episode 1. The only real order of business here is bringing up 2 players from the minor leagues. But just looking at this team right now, there is a lot of work to do. The rotation is young, pretty experimental. Not sure how I feel about pretty much anybody in the rotation. Joe Ryan is a good ace. He's still got a lot of team control, and with that, home runs allowed. I think the target field is a good run environment for Joe Ryan. This his ability to get up the home run, his good control. He's a fly ball pitcher, but he's got great velocity. He's got 4 excellent pitches, can go deep into games. But at this point in a rebuild, you have to look at a guy like Joe Ryan, who's 29 years old and unquestionably a good major league starter, and put together 3 years, increasing production in each year, by the way. And you have to look at a player like this at this point in a rebuild as an asset and somebody you might think to trade. Because you've already traded pretty much every central piece to this team except for Byron Buxton and Joe Ryan. So with both of those guys being, with Byron Buxton being 31 and Joe Ryan being 29, are they going to be on this team when it's good? And with Byron Buxton, especially with his injury proneness, I don't think I'm going to keep him around. But, the Twins didn't get a great amount back for the players they traded for by any means. The farm system is pretty barren. So, what I'm trying to say is that when I look at a guy like Joe Ryan, I see somebody that we can get a good amount of prospects back for and really start to rebuild the minor league system. And maybe even bring in a young, controllable major league piece in addition. It just depends on how much we can get for him. With that in mind, let's set the trade values in the settings here. AI settings, I am going to turn the trade preference up to favor prospects. I like it there. And then the trade difficulty is just going to be 3 notches from the top. And I found that it actually is still pretty easy to trade with it 3 notches from the top. I think 2 notches from the top in the trade settings is really where it starts to get difficult. Just hit the minus button twice from the top of the menu. But now that we're through all that, let's look at the team. We've got Luke Keeschel leading off. He's a good defensive first baseman, plays a few positions, good speed, and a good eye, a projectable eye. He's the number 60 prospect in baseball. But right now, I'm going to be honest, I'm really not blown away by this lineup. Matt Wallner's a good exit velo guy. He's a good launch angle guy, but he strikes out far too much. Buxton also strikes out far too much. Doesn't really have a great eye. Lewis doesn't have a great eye either. And there's a couple guys on this team that have really good eyes, like Matt Wallner, but we just said he strikes out too much. James Outman also has a good eye and strikes out too much. Austin Martin has a good eye, but I don't really believe in his ability to really put up. He's got a 108 OPS plus, and he plays a bunch of positions. I guess he's valuable. So I mean, he's valuable right now. He's an okay second baseman, but I'd rather have him as a utility guy. But the long and short of it is that this team just needs depth. We need to get in here and just start doing our job, and bringing in players who can boost production. But I'm definitely expecting this rotation to struggle. Not big on Bailey Over with a 5 ERA. Taj Bradley doesn't really have a good secondary pitch. Simeon Woods Richardson has a few pitches, but the stuff, movement control, just the basic pitching ratings up here are not good and doesn't have outstanding velocity. I think he'll probably get hit around in the MLB a decent amount. Zebby Matthews, I was actually just looking at. He's got a good fastball, good slider. He got an okay cutter. He's a fly ball pitcher, which I previously said isn't that bad for Minnesota. But what I really like is the good control and the high velocity. And the 3/4 arm angle, 6'5". He's got to be kind of tough to face. He's got a 5 ERA. I think I might try to develop a little bit of a soft spot for Zebby Matthews. At some point, you've got to pick a player and just be like, you know, we got to have a second guy in the rotation, to hang our hat on, because Bailey Ober, Taj Bradley, and Simeon Woods Richardson are all pretty prone to go to me. I don't really see any of those guys as being in the rotation when the team is good. Zebby Matthews maybe can be a 4 or a 5 in the distant future. And this post Johan Duran bullpen, I mean, Justin Topa keeps the ball on the ground, so he could be a good. I mean, see, when you look at these relievers, just like who do we have to trade? Who do we have to trade in the future? Cody Funderburk, one of my favorite names in the MLB. But yeah, just a very average to below average bullpen. Why is Pablo Lopez here? That's interesting. I didn't even see Pablo Lopez. So Pablo Lopez is still here. Let's ask manager for staff. There we go. So Pablo Lopez is our 2 starter instead. And that changes things. I didn't see him. He was hidden down here as a long reliever. Figured he'd have to be somewhere, though. But this is a really good example of what we're going for. He's signed till 2027, and just with the timeline of the rebuild, it's sad because I think probably he's going to go. Probably we're going to trade him, but the fastball, the velocity, the control, just the ability to control that velocity is always a very attractive thing in a starting pitcher, and it's what I just said I like about Zebby Matthews. So, I mean, it's nice to have three starters that I'm kind of okay with already, although okay being the opportune word. The bullpen, I mean, like Michael Tonkin, Genesis Cabrera, there's some dude, Brooks Kriske, there's some dudes in this bullpen that, are probably not long for this team, unfortunately. But I'm kind of psyched about these top 3 starters right now, to be honest with you. And I think it's more going to be about maybe finding guys in the offseason to sort of supplement this rotation, bring in a decent bullpen, fix the offense. Because the honest truth is, we're still in the AL Central, and the AL Central is one of the most competitive divisions in baseball. And I was sort of attracted to this save because of it being a bit of a longer-term rebuild. But when I think about how I could team build here, I think maybe I could even make this team respectable next year, or at least in a couple years. So I'm looking forward to just tinkering with this lineup and seeing what we can do. We've got a good prospect in Walker Jenkins down here in AAA, who I think might have been a touch rush to AAA. He's hitting 050 in AAA. He hit 309, 426, 487, 912 in AA, and they brought him out to AAA, and he struggled, but he looks like a tremendous player. Let's go to his development and move that away from defense. This is one of the most useful things you can do in this game. If they prioritize, all that defense and running, nah, make him hit. He needs to be a hitter. Let's see. Yeah, I want his power to develop more than anything. So we'll leave everything there, and then power will just get a big green bar. I don't care about your running. I want you to hit there. Power. So Walker Jenkins, hopefully we'll develop some power, some contact now that we've adjusted his development strategy. And unfortunately, that really is the highest end prospect we have here. We have Jonah Bride kind of has an extra. I don't even know how good our minor league system is. Merrick Houston is a guy who I think seems like the development has stalled on him a little bit. Hopefully we can boost it back up. But the Twins have had a nightmare of a time trying to develop hitters in recent years. And I think that's job one here, is fixing the offense. So it said roster expansion was today, but I don't see 28 on the roster. It said roster expansion was today, but it says I'm only allowed to have 26 players on the roster. Let's just try to call up Jonah Bride and see what happens. It doesn't let us. That's interesting. That is interesting. Let's go to MLB League settings, rules. Expanded roster size, 28 players. And while we're here, let's just do this. Options. And we're going to turn off secondary roster size. We're going to turn off injured length because that doesn't matter. I kind of want to keep team relocation and team nickname change. We can just change them back if we hate them too much. I'm definitely going to turn off expansion because if we're going to do that, I want to do that realistically. More or less pitching is fine. The designated hitter rule needs to stay. They're not changing that. I don't really want to change the act. No, I think changing the active roster size is realistic. If they change it down, which would never happen, it would only go up. Realistically, that number would only go up, the active roster size. If they like change it if the game changes it to 28, I think that's realistic. So I'll keep that. But if the game moves it back down to 25, we can change it. But I was looking forward to sort of seeping through this minor league system and looking who we can bring up. But I'm not seeing anybody. I'm not seeing anybody that I would bring up right now anyway, other than maybe like a David Festa, who I remember from the Orioles save, who we could bring up. They got Mick Abel, number 44 prospect. I believe in the Duran trade is where they got Mick Abel. Erasmo Ramirez is still here and pitching. That's unbelievable. I figure he retired years ago. But, there are some guys in this minor league system we could bring up, but it's honestly a pretty mid minor league system. So we'll just go for the next month, and hopefully I'll see you in the offseason. It says we have 92 million available for free agents. I don't really know how accurate that is, but I probably will try to spend more realistically on free agents and sort of try to respect the way that I think a real rebuilding team would go about a rebuild, because the minor league system scares me. The development scares me. And I think that to a certain extent, this organization needs a little bit of a facelift. I'm going to try to respect realism to a certain extent, but, we're just trying to look through here and see. I kind of like this CJ Culpepper guy. Ton of pitches. Big arsenal, 94 miles an hour, decent control. I'm going to keep a close eye on this dude. I really would like to lock in on player development in this save. The St. Paul Saints are also one of my favorite AAA teams. A great, awesome minor league organization. All right, so we finished the season at 76 and 86. Quick look at batting leaders. Buxton leads the team with a 277 batting average, 334, 568. Ryan Jeffers, tremendous offensive season for a catcher, 264, 357, 404 for a 761 OPS. Cody Clemens hits 21 home runs. Matt Wallner hits 26 home runs, only 49 RBI. Loves a good solo shot. 207, 306, 469. Like I say, strikes out far too much. 134 strikeouts. There's a few guys on this team that strike out way too much. Trevor Larnach as well, 116 strikeouts. He went 252, 330, 404. And on base percentage, I'm really impressed with Luke Keeschel here. Ryan Jeffers also putting up a 357. And Austin Martin putting up a 351. So there's already a fair share of guys in this offense who can really get on base, but there's also a fair share of guys that really strike out a lot. But for a team that just kind of blew up their entire roster, this isn't the worst offense in the world. In terms of pitching, there was some really rough stuff in the bullpen. Krisky, Cabrera, Thomas Hatch, Michael Tonkin all had ERAs over 5. Justin Topa did a pretty good job taking over in the closer role. He does a good job limiting home runs and walks, actually, as well. 3.34 ERA. I got 12 saves. Cole Sands with a 3.51 ERA. Pretty good all-rounder type pitcher. A lot of extreme fly ball pitchers on the team, though, I've noticed. And Pablo Lopez does a good job in his comeback. 3.09 ERA. Joe Ryan, 2.96 ERA. So a couple really strong starters here at the top of the rotation as we head into the offseason. And Zebby Matthews with a 5.08 ERA, but if you look at his starts, he has this one blow up here against LA on September 8th. Gives up 8 runs, 7 earned runs. But then 3 straight starts here against Arizona, Cleveland, and Texas to end the season where he keeps it under control. He's still got that 45 home run allowed. You see it here. He gives up 2 home runs in each start, but there's also that control in the velocity. Even though he doesn't have good stuff or really that great of movement, he still gets 9 strikeouts, 7 strikeouts, and more importantly, he keeps the game under control. It seems like a fair amount of the time, at least lately this season. So 1.1 wins above replacement. I'll be interested to see what his FIP is. I've already kind of got a thing for Zebby Matthews here in this save. His FIP is 4.13. Yeah, so that suggests that he's getting a little unlucky. So I'm still a big fan of Zebby Matthews. And, yeah, there's a few interesting questions coming into this offseason. I think it really depends on how other things pan out, whether or not we trade Pablo Lopez. We don't really necessarily need to shed the payroll, but I feel like with Joe Ryan still being an arbitration player and how valuable he is, it's just and the fact that Pablo Lopez just came off an injured season, but a season with injury where he still pitched pretty well. I just don't know. It'll be really interesting to see what the market is for Pablo Lopez. He definitely could be worth trading as well if we get a good enough package. But it's playoff time. Let's see who wins the World Series here in 2025. So we've got Seattle and the Red Sox. facing off in the wild card, and Yankees and Astros. In the National League, we have the Mets and the Padres, and the Cubs and the Dodgers. The Brewers and the Phillies get a bye, and the Blue Jays and the Tigers get a bye in the American League. Seattle takes game 1 of the wild card series. New York beats Houston 7-6. The Dodgers sweep the Cubs, winning 6-4 and 6-2. And the Padres sweep the Mets 4-3 and 7-2. Ramon Laureano with the series MVP in that one. Padres could be a sneaky team in the playoffs this year, man. They've got a really nice offense and a really experienced team that I feel like has gotten close a lot of the time and has never won it. I feel similarly about Philly, but I feel like Philly weirdly Philly just has a little bit less pitching depth, truth be told. I believe in Philly's pitching a little less, although Philly's offense is probably the better of the two. Anyway, New York and Seattle complete the sweeps, so the division series looks like this. It's Toronto versus Seattle, New York versus Detroit, which is a Yankee fan, please know, Milwaukee versus Los Angeles, and San Diego versus Philadelphia. That's going to be, I was just talking about those two teams, so they're going to square off. And then the Brewers off a break get the Dodgers, which, like, the Dodgers are still winning the division by a game. But yeah, that's pretty believable that would happen, that the Dodgers fall to the wild card and the Brewers, who spent the whole year being the best team in the league, have to play the Dodgers in the division series. Although, to be fair, it says here that the Brewers had the season sweep over the Dodgers, so who knows? Let's see how this goes. Game 1 of the division series. LA with a 1-0 lead, San Diego with a 1-0 lead. About to get a Dodgers-Padres NLCS. That would be insane. Detroit and Seattle win their game 1s. Detroit goes up 2-0. Seattle goes up 2-0. So the AL East teams are on the ropes. Philly got a game back against San Diego. This could turn into a banger of a series. Philly wins game 3, 5-3. Yeah, there you go. LA completes the sweep of the Brewers, and only game 2 was particularly close. It just... Was it Snell? It was Snell, Kershaw, Yamamoto. They didn't have to use Ohtani, and they sweep the Brewers. Brutal. And Philly with a 2-1 lead now over San Diego. San Diego comes back to tie it. There will be a game 5 as New York wins game 3 to force a game 4 in that ALDS. And they force a game 5. Luis Gil versus Tariq Skubal. It's a 5-0 win at Jim by Carlos Rodon. Gets the Yankees back to 2-2. And it's Dylan Cease, who we had in the Orioles save against Christopher Sanchez for the Phillies here in Game 5 from Philadelphia. And the Phillies win. So the Phillies advance to the NLCS. And now we have New York versus Detroit Game 5 to see who will play against the Seattle Mariners in the ALCS. And it will be the Detroit Tigers, a 5-1 win, a great pitching performance from Tariq Skubal. Jazz Chisholm with 3 home runs in the series, but it's not enough. And the Tigers advance to the ALCS to play the Seattle Mariners. So it's Mariners versus Tigers and Dodgers versus Phillies for these spots in the World Series. I don't care who from the St. Paul Saints retired. Can we watch game 1? Phillies win game 1, 2-1. Pitcher's duel there. Let's take a look at the box score. Ranger Suarez with 7 innings. Yamamoto with 6 innings. Alex Vesia with a pretty tough loss there in a really low-scoring playoff game. Game 2, and the Phillies take a 2-0 lead as the Mariners take a 1-0 lead with a blowout win of the Detroit Tigers. Logan Gilbert gets a lot of run support in a 12-2 win. And man, this looks like a classic of a game here. 7-6, Detroit beats Seattle. Flaherty over George Kirby. Will Vest gets the save. Suarez, Arozarena, and Cole Young all homer for Seattle. Torkelson and Riley Green homer for Detroit. And the Tigers managed to overcome those 3 home runs from Seattle and a good pitching performance from George Kirby to tie the series at 1 game apiece. The Phillies are up 3-0 on the Dodgers, and the Dodgers, I guess, spent all their energy beating the Brewers because now they've got a big challenge here in the Phillies. And Brian Wu versus Tariq Skubal, man, you're going to see some fastballs today in Seattle. You're going to see some velocity. And it's a 6-1 win for Seattle. Brian Wu overcoming Tariq Skubal. Rodriguez, Raleigh, and Polanco all hit home runs, man. This Seattle offense might just be too much. This might be how it goes in real life, man. The Mariners offense kind of is the best in the American League by a pretty good margin. Like honestly, in real life, by my calculation, with Suarez, Julio, and Cal Raleigh, that 3-headed monster there, and then you've got a Arozarena. It's just a deeper lineup with more guys who can with easy, effortless power. Even than the Yankees, I think. And I think it is a case in real life of like maybe the Mariners their offense is just going to be too good. It's going to see them through. They've put up 12 runs, 6 runs, and 6 runs in these 3 games. I don't know what about Alex Cobb is going to make them slow down. This matchup really benefits Seattle. You'd think they'd take a 3-1 lead here. And that is exactly what happens. Castillo pitches a shutout. Well, not a shutout. Munoz gets the save. Let's see. Wait. Yeah, Castillo with 7 innings. Munoz with a 6-out save. And it's a pitcher's duel, but it's a gem for the Seattle Mariners, who take a 3-1 lead. Their worst offensive performance of the series. Now it's another. It's a starter in Reese Olson, who's he had a great ERA this year, but has struggled in the playoffs so far against Logan Gilbert, who's 2-0. And the Phillies, by the way, knock out the Dodgers. They finished that dominant series that they had. And let's see if the Mariners can advance. And they do. 1-0. It's another pitcher's duel. Randy Arozarena hitting the only home run, and the Seattle offense just kept coming. And it's a Philly versus Seattle World Series. I could see it. I believe it. And it's George Kirby versus Luzardo in Game 1 from Philadelphia. Philly with the home field advantage, a 7-game better record on the year. And just 2 of the most high-octane offenses. The 2 most high-octane offenses in the MLB, probably. And here we go, Game 1. Actually, it's going to be Logan Gilbert versus Zach Wheeler, the pitching matchups. Readjusting there. So Logan Gilbert versus Zach Wheeler in Game 1. And it's a 5-0 win for Seattle. They just keep hitting. Suarez with another home run. 2-0 Seattle. It's Suarez with 2 home runs. He's got 3, so you already know who to give the MVP trophy to. That John Boy's Mariners documentary looks like it's about to have a happy ending. 3-2 win. They've given up 2 runs in the series so far. The Phillies offense has just gone away. And how about the Mariners winning a championship in front of those fans in Seattle? Oh, not yet. 6-5. Trey Turner and JT Realmuto. And now it's Zach Wheeler. Logan Gilbert looking for his 5th win of the playoffs. 4-0 with an 0.94 ERA. And it just happened. And the Seattle Mariners have won the World Series in front of their home fans indeed. Suarez, he does get that MVP trophy. It's Cal Raleigh. Arozarena with another 2 home runs in the playoffs. How many home runs did he hit in the playoffs this year? Only 4. He hit 10. He hit 10 in 2020 with Tampa. No wonder the Yankees got knocked out by them that year. I remember that. I definitely remember that. He's always been a beast in the playoffs. It's another reason why the Mariners are honestly a pretty good bet in the playoffs this year, despite their franchise history. It just does feel a little different with that offense, and the simulation proves it. So we're going to go to the offseason and actually start managing our Minnesota Twins instead of sitting here talking about what I think is going to happen in the real-life playoffs, because we have a lot of work to do here in Minnesota to reestablish some dang winning baseball, and especially a winning franchise that can actually advance in the playoffs like the Seattle Mariners just did. So to start the offseason, I think we're going to keep Rocco Baldelli. He's signed till 2029. Maybe they let him go in real life, but I'm going to keep him. I think he's a decent manager. Chase Tingler doesn't have any poor relationships, and he's not a bad bench coach. We'll keep him around. Peter Maki, I'm going to let go of. Bring in a pitching coach with a little bit better development. Well, he handles development well, and that's about it. But we can improve a pitching coach, certainly. Hitting coach, I'm actually going to keep this guy. I'm going to keep Matt Borg-Schultz. I like the contact focus, too. I want to add more contact to this team to make it less 3 true outcomes in the future. Good first base coach, decent third base coach, and I like the scouting director. So we need a pitching coach and we need a team trainer. I always prefer prevention over recovery. Rick Jamieson is, of course, the MVP of OOTP. Everybody always goes with Rick Jamieson. We're going to go with PJ Manville. He is worse than Rick Jamieson, but that's predictable. Man, Keith Langston looks like a terrific pitching coach. Let's pick him up. Let's check the inbox here. We need to do our arbitration, need to do facilities. So we have a budget of $230 million, team payroll of around $90 million. Team goals, he wants us to play 500 ball. That's probably a little ambitious, although, again, the AL Central can be pretty unpredictable, so there's a little hope there. I kind of doubt that's going to happen. Acquire a power hitter we can do. Increase attendance, I very much doubt will happen. We always focus on trying to improve team chemistry. But improving fan interest, I don't know about. And we definitely need to improve our international amateur scouting. That's a big thing. We need better international amateur free agents desperately. Walker Jenkins is the number 4 prospect in all of baseball. Well, I kind of doubt we have anybody else. No, we do. We have a lot of guys in the top prospect report. Emmanuel Rodriguez. Have I talked about him? He's probably going to get a shot. I don't know why he's in single A. Put him in triple A, please. Why is he in single A? Emmanuel Rodriguez very well should get a chance on the team next year. There's Eduardo Tate, who we got in the Johan Duran trade. Yeah, the Johan Duran trade was Mick Abel and Eduardo Tate. Quentin Young is also a top 100 prospect. He's young, but obviously very projectable. And then Walker Jenkins, of course, is the number 4 prospect in all the land. And I've mentioned Luke Keeschel being number 45. And then on pitching side, it's Mick Abel. We talked about Riley Quick, who I haven't seen. Don't know about him. He could be a really good reliever one day, but the basic pitching ratings, the stuff movement control could be a lot better. Good 3-pitch arsenal, though, and a ground ball pitcher with high velocity, so there's something there. And then I don't know why Justin Mitrovich is a top 100 prospect. This guy's pretty mid. I need to make a decision on Justin Topa's contract option. We're definitely going to execute it. Justin Topa is the best reliever we have right now, hard as that is to believe, at least statistically. Probably have relievers with more exciting skill sets, but we're going to execute that option, and Justin Topa is going to stay a Minnesota Twin for the next year. And it's salary arbitration time. A hilariously low number of players on the team are even eligible for salary arbitration. I'd imagine most players are just still on their rookie deals. Or players like Buxton who are locked into some kind of long-term contract. We're definitely going to get rid of Christian Vasquez, who I don't think played a game for the team, at least since I took over. Yeah, he played 61 games for us this year, but he's not going to stay around. 35-year-old defensive catcher. Bailey over $4 million will do. Joe Ryan $7 million. I'm fine with. Genesis Cabrera. Genesis Cabrera was just horrific this year. We're going to withdraw that. I don't want to pay $1.7 million. Cole Sands was okay. Michael Tonkin was similarly awful. Maybe you can trade him for some kind of prospect. Let's see if we can get a prospect for Michael Tonkin. Enthralling trade here if it goes through. No. Okay. It's like, let's make everybody watch me trade Michael Tonkin for cash considerations. Withdraw. Ryan Jeffers at $8 million. That is fine with me. He had a great year. Sadly, at the state of this rebuild, I just keep saying this about all our good players, but trade candidate, I mean, he's really boosting his value with his offensive performance. I imagine he just eats lefties. I imagine that's what's happening here. Nah, he's pretty even against both. Whenever I see a catcher who's just got really great hitting metrics, but only like 11 home runs, 54 RBI, I tend to think of a guy who really just destroys lefties and might struggle off righties, a platoon catcher essentially, just against lefties. But that's not the case with Ryan Jeffers. Royce Lewis also in arbitration, $3.4 million. And we offered some minor league extensions, and let's get going to the awards. And we get our new team trainer and our new pitching coach, Keith Langston. And Byron Buxton wins a Silver Slugger. We see the American League Silver Slugger winners there. Buxton with 37 home runs, 22 stolen bases, a 146 WRC plus, and 5.7 WAR. And that sounds like a player that could get a hefty, hefty price in a trade, especially with only a $15 million on his contract this year. And yeah, $15 million every year, actually, at least according to this game. I kind of doubt that's his real life contract, but at least according to this game, he's just got $15.1 million for the next 3 years after this year, 26, 27, 28. And that's a real intriguing prospect there, trading Byron Buxton and what we can get back. And I think that's going to be a big headline for us in this offseason, dealing Byron Buxton. There's your NL Platinum Stick winners, including Juan Soto, Kyle Schwarber, Kyle Stowers in left field, Geraldo Perdomo at shortstop, Manny Machado, Pete Alonso, Will Smith, LCU 1 Rookie of the Year. Rookie of the Year, Nick Kurtz, not surprising at all, 33 home runs, 86 RBI with a 299 average, Roman Anthony. Incredible that Roman Anthony managed to not win Rookie of the Year, but Nick Kurtz with a great year. And Drake Baldwin at a catcher for the Braves, the great contact hitting catcher, Drake Baldwin. Isaac Collins coming in second, out in left field. Augustine Ramirez also has had a pretty great rookie year. I've noticed manager of the year, probably not going to be Rocco Baldelli. I didn't see reliever of the year. So I don't know why reliever of the year isn't in my mailbox, but Paul Skeens and Tariq Skubal win the Cy Young Awards to the surprise of nobody. Paul Skeens' first career Cy Young. Christopher Sanchez with a great year coming in second for the Phillies. Yamamoto coming in third for that NL Cy Young. And Aaron Judge wins the MVP over Cal Raleigh. That'd be pretty controversial if that happened in real life. Byron Buxton receiving quite a few MVP votes, finishing fourth in the voting in between Riley Green and the aforementioned Tariq Skubal. And Kyle Schwarber, unanimous MVP in the National League. 62 home runs and 153 RBI. I think he had a pretty good September in the simulation. I think he might have had a pretty good September in the simulation. Let me see here. Can you see month by month? Here, wait. Let me see September. Yeah, he had 13 home runs in September. He had 326. He had a 252 OPS plus in September with 13 home runs. Kyle Schwarber. That is beyond the pale. That is ridiculous. It's really not that bad. I actually kind of like it when I look at it like this. It's like there's just all these other players thrown in there. But why even remove them? Why not just take Serrano and Topa for Saltiban? Saltibian? Saltiban? I want to make this trade though. I want him. I want Devin Saltiban, if that's how his name is. Devin Saltiban kind of rolls with the tongue. It's another trade with Philly. We just traded them Johan Duran. The season ends and we trade them Justin Topa. But what can I say? I like the deal. We're going to take this young prospect. He can play shortstop. He can play left field. 70 grade power projected. And we get three other guys, too, to ease the pain. And Justin Topa, honestly, not that great of an arm. 4-pitch mix, but not a pitch that grades out above a 45. And really all he does well is control and limit home runs. We value those things, but he's 34, and we just got a great offer for a prospect for him. And it's not really giving up too much to get a pretty good prospect. We got to rebuild this farm system, so let's do it. Man, Schwarber's a free agent after that season, huh? And then this made-up dude, Kayuman Yasuda, whose nickname is Matt. He only wants $13 million. This guy with 80 gap power. Is this supposed to be Murakami? He's not a third baseman. It's like the Murakami equivalent. Rikiya Koyama, a very similar player, outfielder with good gap power. So a couple interesting Japanese free agents. Rikiya Koyama is another Japanese player here, center fielder. He's a little older than Yasuda, line drive hitter, spray hitter. He's definitely the cheaper option to Yasuda. Unfortunately, he wants a 6-year deal. This is the kind of player that I would like to bring in to move on. Honestly, this is the kind of guy I'd like to bring in with a contract that I can move on. This doesn't really seem like a contract I can move on. I think I'll get bit by this deal, so I'm not going to make it. Sung Chae Chang, second baseman here, spent some time in the Pittsburgh system. I'm not in love with the stats, but I like the profile. He's got a good eye, enough power, gap power, good avoid Ks. He's fast, good defensive second baseman. We need a second baseman. This guy's only 24. I could definitely see him having his name in the mix. Ryan Noda fits the profile of a lot of Twins players with the good eye and the good power, but he's just lackluster in a lot of other places and is ultimately kind of leveled out as a quadruple A guy. So I don't even think he works his depth, so I'm going to pass on him as well. Lamont Wade Jr. is more interesting. I just feel like he's a little old. We have options at first base already. Now, Michael Conforto, I like a lot. We need guys at the corner outfield positions. I'm sure he wants a short contract we can trade, $1.8 million. Great gap power, great eye, still has some good speed. Line drive hitter, pull hitter. Let's give Michael Conforto a 1-year offer. Hopefully solidify the corner outfield positions. Because to be honest, James Outman isn't the worst, but I want him either in AAA or as a backup option at best. He shouldn't be in the starting lineup. I don't think he's a high quality enough player to be honest with you. He's a leader, so he's important in the clubhouse. But yeah, James Outman is definitely a guy in real life that he came out of the Dodgers organization, and the Twins essentially are taking a flyer on him. He struggled in real life as well. And of course, we also need outfield depth because we're probably going to trade away Byron Buxton. Honestly, probably later this offseason if we once we get done with the other with the other free agent business. That's what I'm leaning towards. Matt Wallner, I'll give another shot next year. Luke Keeschel, I'm not really sure on the position for. He may end up at second base. He may stay the DH. I like that he plays three positions, though. He's probably better used out in the field, especially with all that speed, good range, doesn't commit a lot of errors. He really shouldn't be the DH. So adding another DH lets us add a guy who's essentially just going to be here for his bat, and I don't even, shocking analytical take. Adding a guy who's just here for the bat should probably improve the offense. Kyle Schwarber wants $52 million. He hit 62 home runs and 153 RBI in 2025, 8.3 WAR for a DH. And now he wants $52 million to do literally nothing but hit. It's only for 6 years, which is, only. It's over a $300 million contract. Cody Bellinger at $30 million seems downright affordable. I'm not going to be caught dead paying $30 million for a guy with a .328 on base percentage. Especially with corner outfield is not exactly the biggest premium in out of the park baseball. You can find production at corner outfield decently easy. I kind of like Trey Cabbage here. Decent speed. Plays first as well as corner outfield. This is not a major league pickup by any means, but he could be a depth option. $1.8 million. But I'm struggling here to find that kind of true DH signing. Jorge Polanco, let's see how long of a contract he wants. I like that he's a switch hitter. 6 years is longer than I'm willing to put out there. I like the 60 power, but he's 32 already. Not a plus fielder. And I just don't love the batted ball profile. Only a .314 on base percentage. Now, Marcelo Zuna. 5 years, man, until he's 40. I'm all right. How about Austin Hayes? I would like it if Austin Hayes wanted sort of a medium-length contract. I think that a lot of other teams are going to want his services, but I wouldn't mind with how much money we have to spend pumping that figure up. But you know what? Now that I look at it, he doesn't have the eye that I want. And he isn't exactly the kind of a hitter that I want to add. I want to add a batting average guy, but I wouldn't mind giving up power for eye as opposed to giving up eye for power. We have plenty of power. We need guys who are going to avoid striking out, who are going to avoid the double play, guys who are going to hit line drives and hit balls in the air. And while that is Austin Hayes, he just doesn't get on base enough. So I'm going to pass for that money. There's just a lot of really expensive free agents. Trey Mancini, another cheap option. Let's bring him in. Solid overall profile, the boomer. Doubt he slots in at DH, but that's a cheap, affordable DH option. Paying $16 million a year for Cedric Mullins is not something I'm super interested in. It would be nice as a Buxton replacement, but maybe we make that move after we trade Buxton. I don't know. Salvador Perez at the Twins just seems sacrilegious. Anthony Rizzo, I'm going to retire him. Happy retirement, Anthony Rizzo. Oh, here we go. Retired player. There we go. Anthony Rizzo is now retired. Happy trails, Anthony. What a career for Anthony Rizzo. For real. What a player. I saw a video today on social media of his first major league at bat. I think it was Anthony Rizzo's. He himself posted a retirement post, and in the video, it started with his first major league at bat with the San Diego Padres, and it showed that he hit .365 in AAA, which is a fun fact about Anthony Rizzo. Beast in AAA he was really a beast the whole time, man. I think that was really the moment when that Cubs rebuild started to come to fruition when they brought in Rizzo. That's really the moment that things changed for that organization, and they went from being 108 years without a championship and started that rebuild back up to eventually winning a title. And, as long as he was a Yankee, as long as he was a Padre, that's obviously what Anthony Rizzo is going to be remembered for forever. Him and Chris Bryant are always going to be linked in that way. Let's see if we can get Lourdes Gurriel on a short contract, only 3 years. I wouldn't mind putting this back to 2. He's so much cheaper, which is why I don't mind the low eye. He only wants $10 million a year. If I can get him for like $12 million for 2 years, it really wouldn't be the worst. I feel like I might be I feel like I might be overcrowding the outfield right now. Conforto, Cabbage, Mancini. I didn't even talk about Yost Nixon Garcia. 22 years old, profiles to have maybe okay bat if we focus his development on that. But he's definitely worth it just because of the outfield ability. I feel like he could be a little more productive version of James Outman who doesn't strike out quite as much, so that's good. But yeah, I don't mind bringing in Gurriel for a couple years and throwing maybe like 12.5 million and seeing if he likes that offer. I really don't want to give him 3 years. He's definitely a player that we're going to look to trade before the contract is up in all likelihood, especially if the team struggles. Anthony Prado, this is a pretty easy signing. I really like this guy. Never doesn't seem like he's got any major league time, but plays a billion positions, really good speed, great base running, great eye, good gap power, doesn't strike out a ton, 27 years old. Yeah, I will take a shot on Anthony Prado. This guy's another player who's got a good shot at the second base job. JC Escara, another guy I wanted to bring in, another guy with a good eye. Yankee in real life. It says that he can play the corner outfield positions. In real life, he's definitely a catcher, but he's also got a little first base ability. I personally like the bat and the eye, so we're going to give him a contract. It's another cheap player, another cheap option on the offensive side of the ball to try to increase our offensive production across the board. Jonathan Morales is a pretty good offensive catcher. I might take a shot on him. He's got 80 avoid Ks, and he doesn't even want a major league deal. Wants a 1.2 million minor league deal with a major league option. Here's Ahmed Rosario, Yankee from real life. I believe a former Twin. I think he was a Twin in real life. Actually, it does not seem he's ever played for the Twins, so I don't know. Maybe this signing makes itself. Nah, it's another guy with no eye. He has no eye at all. He has no eye, and he also has no power. I mean, let's see here. I just want to see because I'm trying to. Yeah, I don't want any more guys with bad eyes. We have enough guys who don't who don't get on base. We have enough guys who don't get on base. I'm kind of good on giving a bunch of money to Ahmed Rosario. I'm okay with bringing in a player who doesn't get on base as long as I'm not paying him a ton of money to not get on base. Jorge Mateo wants $4 million a year. He can play all over the shop, but just definitely not a player who's going to contribute offensively at the major league level. That's been proven by this point. So pass. Jorge Barrosa, interesting outfielder, switch hitter. We'll give him an offer too. He plays a good center field, 5'6", pretty much the only drawback there. A little bit of a short king, but oh yeah, I was going to talk about that. The Twins have maybe the best short player in professional baseball, Peyton Eales, 5'5". Foolish Baseball made a video about Peyton Eales about a year ago. I believe he found him as part of his stat line scouting series where he would go in and just scout players based just on their stat lines. I feel like such a mainstream loser talking about Foolish Baseball. He's so mainstream as a for a baseball YouTuber now. Him and Giraffe Neck Mark, I feel like a total poser talking about Foolish Baseball and Giraffe Neck Mark. I'm too mainstream. I'm one of the elites. I'm one of the global liberal coastal elites talking about Foolish Baseball and talk about Foolish Baseball and Giraffe Neck Mark. I mean, Giraffe Neck Mark just picks the Mets to win the World Series every year. So, yo, one year he's gonna get right. One year he's gonna get it right. But Peyton Eales is a guy who is definitely gonna start the year on the Major League roster. I want him to start the year on the Major League roster. I'd love to see how he does because I'm very curious to see how he does in real life if he ever gets a Major League shot. And if he doesn't, I will be here to whine and cry and complain about it because he does deserve a shot. He's had a really fascinating career as pretty much a perpetually underrated underdog of a player who clearly has a very wide-ranging and gifted offensive skill set and actually has is honestly still really impressive. It's amazing that Jose Altuve manages to hit as many home runs as he does. He's incredible at driving the ball for being his size. He's always been great at taking advantage of the high fastball, and I imagine Peyton Eales as a lefty is very much that kind of guy. But Peyton Eales is also going to be part of our future plan, and let's go through and try to find some other toolsy cheap players that we can sign because that seems to be the theme of the day. CJ Hinojosa, another middle infielder with good contact, will bring him in as well. Just try to get one of these guys hot and get some production, get some batting average. Micah Prize, this guy's interesting. I've never even heard of this guy before. Decent speed, a good corner outfielder. Says he's got great intelligence, good gap power. Interesting. Let's see if we can maybe give him a career renaissance. And here we go. This might be a controversial decision, but this is the last big signing I'm going to make. We're going to bring in Jesse Winker as well. I think he just fits the Twins' kind of three true outcomes approach, except he's got a little bit less strikeout to his game. He could use a little more power, but you know what? Maybe we pop Jesse Winker in the lineup and he gives us 25 home runs. I'm willing to take that chance if he can take, just 10 million for 2 years. Take that team option out. Maybe give him 11 million in the second year. Very similar to the Gurriel deal that we offered, but hopefully we have Winker and Gurriel in the outfield, and they're both guys that we can, be part of this lineup if they're good and get moved on to a contender if we struggle. I am absolutely going to give Will Benson a shot. I feel like I'm just giving any young corner outfielder with good speed and a good eye a contract, but you know what? This is out of the park baseball, baby. What are you watching me play this game for if you don't want me to do that? That's what this game is all about. Corner outfielder, medium-sized contract simulator 2K26. Gotta love Buddy Kennedy. What a name. He doesn't play a single position. This dude would be like an indie ball legend. This dude would go to indie ball and hit 1,000. This guy, this guy would crush in the Atlantic League. This guy would destroy like Double A. Legendary minor league signing. He wants 4.4 million, be a major leaguer, but whoever signs him is really going to struggle to find a place for his bat. For his glove. That's been something for this guy in real life, too, as well. Michael Hellman, super solid across the board utility guy. I actually really like this player. 50 contact, 55 avoid K, then 50 on gap power, power I, 70 speed, 70 stealing ability, and literally plays every single position except for catcher and pitcher. And he only wants 1.2 million. So Michael Hellman, you are a Minnesota Twin. Don't be surprised if that guy actually plays for the big club this year. There's former Yankees legend Ryan Lamar. 9 games with the Yankees back in 2021. Legendary minor league figure. Nick Solak is also going to get brought in. This guy was a high priority, actually, at the start of the offseason. I looked at him, totally forgot to sign him, but he plays left field, first base, and second base, so he fills a few need positions for us. He's got the stolen bases. He's got the eye. He's got the contact, so we're going to bring in Nick Solak as well. Okay, and now we're moving on to pitching, and I'd like to get at least one starter. And I think a lefty starter is also in order here. Don't know if they'd replace Ober, Bradley, or maybe even Matthews, who I've talked so much about positively. But, if he has a bad enough start, we might need to fill his spot, too. We definitely need relievers. We don't have a lot of relievers. We could call some guys up from the minors, of course, but we're going to have to fill in a whole bullpen here. But let's find a starter first. Michael Soroka is fragile, but he only wants 4.6 million. Great fastball, great slider, fly ball pitcher, 3/4. Like I said, fly ball pitcher isn't the end of the world in Minnesota. I don't like the movement of the home runs allowed. He probably will give up home runs, but he'll also get strikeouts, and he can also control his velocity. He keeps his nose to the grindstone. People honking outside my window. We're gonna give him the 1-year, $4.6 million offer to Michael Soroka. Not a lefty though, and with that fastball and that slider, he very well may get bullpen time. Marcus Stroman, sad to see. Pretty much all of his pitches have atrophied, his velocity down to a 92 miles an hour. I was thinking about picking him up, but he looks pretty brutal, so we're going to pass. I'm going to take a flyer here on Dustin May. I don't like the walks, but I do like the velocity, and I like the ground ball pitcher. I like the sinker, I like the fastball, and I like the BABIP as well. I think that the Twins need to put a little more focus, be a little less afraid of ground ball pitchers. It's nice that it's okay to be a fly ball pitcher in our stadium, but I'll still gladly take a ground ball pitcher over a fly ball pitcher any day. Luis Medina coming off Tommy John, pretty bad injury problems and not great stats, but a great arm and cheap and 26. So here comes a $1.6 million offer. Bailey Falter, I'm weirdly not disliking. And the simulation doesn't seem to like him. He's getting hit around in the sim. I like the career stats. But the stats aren't from the simulation, and he's not simulating well according to his game log, so we're not going to pick up Bailey Falter. All right, and let's knuckle down and actually try to find that starter that we really want, that lefty with some sort of arm. Because right now, I'm sorry, I'm not optimistic. Martin Perez, I'm just not seeing much. Martin Perez, Nestor Cortez, and Jordan Montgomery off a sprained UCL. Down at 92 miles an hour. I'm okay. John Means has good control, extreme fly ball pitcher. Picked him up in the Orioles save, of course, was an Oriole in real life. Jose Quintana is a lefty. He actually, his game logs, he seems to be an okay game manager despite he's got great major league numbers outside the simulation, but it also seems like in the simulation he's okay at managing games. 36 years old though, so very prone for some regression. Ryan Yarbrough lacks the velocity, but he pretty much has everything else we're looking for. It says personality. What personality? Not a sterling pitch repertoire, but not a terrible one either. And I like the BABIP. I like the movement. I like that he doesn't give up home runs. Topping out at 88 miles an hour is hardly ideal. But he also wants a minor league deal. So we'll bring in Ryan Yarbrough to a minor league contract, hopefully, here. And give ourselves another option. But I'm saying that we need to get the big guy. It's just I don't know if the big guy is out there. It might be a case of we've got this Buxton trade coming up. Heck, we might even trade away Joe Ryan as well. Or Pablo Lopez. We can get a lefty starter, hopefully, out of that operation rather than trying to get one here out of free agency because I'm not seeing a realistic option here unless you want to, like, if somebody that actually is going to fill what we need, not at all. No, I'm not seeing a single one yet. Like, AJ Block is the only lefty starter with any kind of stuff. It's almost like every lefty starter specifically doesn't have stuff. I'm not giving Ranger Suarez that contract. It just doesn't make sense. Like Jordan Montgomery isn't good anymore. Maybe in real life I would sign Jordan Montgomery in this situation if I was the Twins, but he's just not good in the game. Martin Perez looks like he's about the same level of pitcher. And there's not exactly a bunch of lefty starting pitching in the minor league system either. Connor Prelip seems to be the only one here. That's going to have to be a priority. And it's a priority, unfortunately, that I don't even seem capable of starting to solve right now. Even with $56 million still to work with here in free agency. Spent a lot of that $90 million here on just signing bonuses attached to these minor league contracts. It's probably where a lot of that $40 million went, like the $1 million, $2 million, $1.8 million signing bonuses on all these different contracts. Scott Barlow, 3+ pitches, not super great velocity, but there are definitely worse relief options out of the pen. Just trying to find guys, of course, that we can maybe move on at the deadline. Braden Fisher, pretty nice arm. Might walk some, might give up the long ball, but great secondary pitches. And good velocity, wants a 2-year deal. And if he performs well, he very well could get an extension pretty quickly. A lot of old relievers here. It's just Jose Alvarado. Jose Alvarado only wants $7 million a year. As apparently the best reliever on the block. Devin Williams wants a much bigger contract fitting of him. Alvarado. I'm just going to sign Alvarado. I mean, why look a gift horse in the mouth? That's sure. This might be our new closer. Definitely somebody that we can get a decent trade package for if we desire to do so. Hunter Harvey, really solid overall pitcher. Only gave up a single run in 19 innings last year, 18 innings out of 19 games. Solid relief arm. Been around the league a little bit. Once 3 years. I'll give him 2 years at $6.5 million. And Alvarado is a lefty, so that gives us a lefty somewhere on this staff. Josh Walker, another lefty reliever, a little average across the board. And here, Steven Matz wants $14 million a year because he pretty much is a starter, and he's got a good fastball. He can control it up to 96. I think this is going to be our lefty starter here, Steven Matz, unless there's somebody else here in amongst this long list of relief pitchers. But I don't even see too many with a. Yeah, so we're going to give Steven Matz what he wants. Hopefully, he doesn't want too long of a contract. Let's just try 2 years. We'll do 16 million on the first year, 15 million on the second year. Let's do 17 million and 16 million just to make sure he actually signs it. And hopefully he can be a decent lefty in our rotation, not get shelled too much. I wish Giovanni Moran had more velocity. Only 92 to 94 on the velocity. I wish he had 98, like 98, 100 miles an hour. He'd be a great reliever even with the bad control. Carlos Beltran, Baseball Academy, is his high school. It's pretty badass. Mark Leiter Jr. has struggled with the Yankees in real life, I feel like, but nah, this is a nice reliever for us to bring in. A 5-pitch mix, it looks like, with a great splitter. I'm going to bring in Ryan Presley, even though his velocity's gone down and he's struggled a bit. He's a vocal leader, highly regarded throughout the league. Also a ground ball pitcher. I like the basic pitch ratings other than the stuff. So let's do Ryan Presley. He's also got a good reputation around the league, so maybe he could fetch something in a trade with those 2 All-Star appearances as well. Joel Payamp struggled in Milwaukee this year, so he's cheap. We'll bring him in as well. Decent velocity fly ball pitcher, another bullpen arm. And I think we are about done there with free agency. We have gotten a lot done. Let's look at all of our pending offers. So many. Tell me if you want to slow down. You guys can take a minute to take a look at it. Lots of minor league contracts with major league bonuses. In terms of the major league contracts, Braden Fisher for 2 years, Michael Soroka 1 for 4.6, Steven Matz 2, 16.5 each, or annual value rather, 33 million total. Scott Barlow 1 year, Jesse Winker with a 2 year, 21 million. Whoops. Hunter Harvey with 2 years, 13. Trey Mancini 1 year, 3.8. Mark Leiter 1 year, 1.8. Lourdes Gurriel 2 years, 25 million. Alvarado 2 years, 15 million, and Josh Walker, the reliever, on 1 year for 1.5 million. Those are all of our major league offers, amidst the many minor league offers that we as well. We've got Dustin May, Trey Cabbage, Ian Anderson, Nick Solak, Will Benson, Ryan Presley, Steven Matz, Jesse Winker, Hunter Harvey, Trey Mancini, Mark Leiter, JC Escara, Ryan Yarbrough, Lourdes Gurriel, Jose Alvarado. Barossa, Just Nixon Garcia is the youngest guy we signed at 22, and Sung Chae Chang. Skipped a few names in there, but just trying to give you the highlights. And we're going to hit simulate forward here toward the winter meetings and the Rule 5 draft. And you know what? Before we hit simulate, I'm going to do a little something. We're going to put Byron Buxton here on the trade block, and we are also going to put Pablo Lopez on the trade block as well. And we'll see what kind of offers we get for them once we hit simulate. So we get an interesting trade offer for Pablo Lopez pretty much right off the bat. Trey Morgan, a guy I've signed several times in OOTP, 23-year-old first baseman. Great contact, great avoid case. I remember watching him in college at LSU. He's a player I like a lot in real life, but I don't think I'm going to accept this offer. I'm going to let this develop a little more. It seems like there's a good market for Pablo Lopez, and we can come back and try to make that trade work. But I also don't necessarily know if he's my favorite player. The 55i, it's great for a young player, but it's not going to get any better. And maxing out at 45 power, 50 gap power, even with the great contact and the contact ability, I just don't quite know if it's worth it. So I'm going to pass on that for now. Yeah, so we're clearly going to be able to get a nice prospect here. The Texas Rangers also offering a 4.5-star Dominican League shortstop. And this is a little more interesting of a trade here. Not with the 40 control. If he could control a little better, I might even make this trade right now. Because Yofran Castillo, the guy they just offered us, he's not bad. Maybe Byron Buxton retaining 40%. I think what we're going to do, seeing how active the trade market is for these two, I think I'm just going to sim to the winter meetings and start dealing. A little more interesting with them not retaining any salary at all. So you know what? I'm just going to humor the Rangers here. I don't know if I like Teodo, but I like Castillo. And they're just going to take all the money. So if we don't even have to retain any salary, I will definitely humor them. Alejandro Osuna, I like. I don't know. I don't know how this guy actually projects to the major leagues. I don't know if he's going to actually turn into a good player. Chase Alsop has some good pitches, but I don't like the basic pitch ratings. Diego Cartaya is a decent all-around catcher. Will they let us add him? They will. So if we want to do like a multi-piece deal, he might be a good throw-in. I'm already kind of leaning a little towards like a multi-piece package and not trying to go for one of their big guys. Blake Money. Jason Morvel. Brock Porter. I kind of like Brock Porter. I do actually like this dude. So I'm starting to see some pieces come together for like a multi-piece deal here. Josh Steffen isn't bad either. Feel like we can actually add some depth to the farm system. Don't necessarily have to pick up one of the big guys. But how about Jesus Made? Okay, so like I mean it's two shortstops, but I mean who cares? They're both really good players. And maybe we can add in who was that Brock guy? Because that was the pitcher that I kind of liked, Brock Porter. And they want us to add Walker Jenkins. No. Okay. So we're just not gonna be able to do that. With Brock Porter, they still do it though. I like Josh Steffen as well. Diego Cartaya, leader in the locker room. He's got a good arm. His framing isn't great, but he's a good catcher. He probably isn't gonna hit at the major leagues, but he could be a backup catcher, and maybe he could really hit in the minor leagues. Think about him. He could, if we put him in AAA, there's an okay chance that he really puts up a lot of power and his bat actually can develop. He doesn't need any developing on the defensive side, so if we customize his development, we could maybe actually give him a decent bat, especially for a catcher at the major league level one day. If they accept this, take it, run fast before they change their mind. That's what my assistant GM is saying. If we could get Abimelech Ortiz, that would be very sweet. Okay. I like this trade now. I like this trade a lot now. It's just Byron Buxton. They're taking all the money. They're giving us Brock Porter, who's a decent 22-year-old. It says he's a closer, but what's his stamina? He could actually be a starter. He's got a 3-pitch mix. Walks a few too many, but Yolfran Castillo could be an excellent infielder in the future on the left side of the infield there. Josh Steven, 4-pitch mix, good control, good velocity. Diego Cartaya has potential to be a major league catcher one day, in my opinion, if he develops right. And Abimelech Ortiz has major league pop already as a lefty hitting first baseman, and yet another first base option for us. So we're going to make this trade for Byron Buxton. It's definitely a bit of quantity over quality. And I do regret a little bit not just openly shopping him, but I feel like this is a little more realistic. Yeah, complete trade. Byron Buxton is a Texas Ranger, and our farm system just got a good bit deeper. And we definitely are going to just hit that shop button on Pablo Lopez when we trade him. Here's Byron Buxton in his new colors. Brock Porter, I think Brock Porter will do okay in high A. Yolfran Castillo is not going to be in AAA. What are you doing? Sent him to... Can he just be in the Dominican League for now? I mean, eat the Dominican League alive. Yolfran Castillo. Josh Steven, that's AA. Yeah, you're fine. Diego Cartaya, AAA. Hopefully he hits bombs. And Ortiz also in at AAA. Wonderful. And let's not mince any words. Let's not waste any time. Pablo Lopez is going to go. What can we get back? With nothing retained, what kind of prospects can we get back? Not much. So it looks like we're going to have to retain some money on Pablo Lopez to get some good kind of prospect back here. That's how you do that in this game. You just keep going until you get an offer, including a really good prospect, a prospect that you like, and then you negotiate that retained percentage back down to 0 from there. So let's go to something like 65. So we can see if there are some really top-level guys that are being offered here. This guy's 3.5 star, but eh. We did get offered Trey Morgan. That's the guy that I was thinking about. It's a lot of first basemen. And Alex Freeland has shown up over and over again. The Dodgers seem willing to give him up. Yeremy Cabrera, it says he has extreme development risk, but he could be an extraordinary player. Little undersized, 155. He could bulk up a little bit, but he's an extremely talented player. And they have Ozuna. It would be another player that we'd be giving to the Rangers, though. I don't know about trading both of those guys to the same team back-to-back like that. Roberto Campos could be special, but I just feel like there's something about his profile that doesn't quite... I feel like even if he develops as well as he possibly could, he's not going to be able to really make an impact at the major league level. I just also noticed that his personality says rarely makes waves, and he's on the Whitecaps. That's hilarious. I just feel like Yeremy Cabrera is too good of a player, ultimately. You know, we can look at Trey Morgan. I mean, the BABIP, though. I don't really like the BABIP. I don't like that he might get unlucky. He tore up Double A. He's putting up ferocious numbers in the minor leagues. And they also have Ozuna, who really shouldn't be in the major leagues, but he'd be a beast in Triple A. We're bringing in a lot of short guys. We're bringing in a lot of guys under 6 feet. Cabrera, the other prospect we just brought in. Ozuna's 5'9". I'm just feeling Trey Morgan. I kind of want to make a Trey Morgan deal work and see what else the Rays might be willing to offer up, but I don't see them here in the trade offers. Let's put regulars in and see if the Rays have anything then. Is there a Tampa? Ha-Sung Kim is the only player they want to trade to us. Let's do 100 and then include veterans. I just want to see everybody that the Rays could conceivably think of. Christopher Morel, Ryan Pepio. Kind of like Ryan Pepio, and he kind of works in our park. I like the stuff. I like the BABIP. He walks a few too many. And be another righty starter, but he can flex. He can probably be out of the bullpen too. Jake Mangum, natural leader, good bat to ball guy, could be a center field replacement. I actually kind of because he actually plays the position well, and that's rare. All right, let's see if we can make something work here. I kind of want to get Magnum, Pepio, and let's see if we can make that work. It's pretty ambitious. So it's going to be Trey Morgan, Ryan Pepio, and Jake Magnum, and we're going to try to make that work. We're retaining 100% right now. Okay, so they can't even afford it if we do 0%. So we're going to have to eat a lot of money here. Unless we take on a contract from them. We could do that. I don't know who it would be. I don't know that they have anybody that makes that much money. Like, hold up. Yeah, that's why they want to give up Ha-Sung Kim. I wouldn't mind taking him. He's not that bad of a player. We can just throw Ha-Sung Kim in this deal. I really wouldn't mind. I don't love taking shortstop reps off of Brooks Lee because he had a good rookie year, but he's a better second baseman anyway. And I also kind of want to deal Royce Lewis and move in a new third baseman, so I don't mind that at all. Let's see who else. There's nobody. Yeah, this seems like we're asking a little much. We might have to take some players out. How about up at 75%? Still nothing makes this work. Okay. Let's take Ryan Pepio out of the deal. No chance with this offer. We'd have to put in Walker Jenkins. How about up at 75%? What if I just start throwing in prospects? What if I just give you... Because, I mean, that Rangers offer is still right there. Gabriel Gonzalez. I feel like he's young and good, and we have a lot of options. Luke Keeschel, Bemelik Ortiz, Connor Prelip. Yeah, he's a decent lefty starter. Eduardo Tate is good. Eduardo Beltre. This guy seems like he's got a pretty definitive ceiling. Maybe if we add him in. I'd still want Walker Jenkins. I was going to say that Gabriel Gonzalez, I like the avoid K. I don't really know if I believe in this dude. It hit 362. He's a monster in the minor leagues, but I'm sorry. That's probably just because of the avoid Ks. There's just something about his skill set where I don't quite know if I'm believing. Says this is going nowhere fast. They still just want Walker Jenkins. I think Trey Morgan is just a little too much, especially when you have Jank Magnum in there too. We could maybe just try to trade for Magnum separately. In a separate deal if we like his skill set and just take him out of the deal. And now they'll take Emmanuel Rodriguez, but that's not somebody I'm willing to move. I'm not super optimistic for him for his bat at the major league level, but I'm still not willing to move him. Maybe in a year. He's still only 22. Maybe if he has another bad season, I might be willing to move him, but not right now, and not with the state of our farm system either. Billy Amick, not really a big believer in this guy. 23, still in high A. Still doesn't get it done. Let's move it up to maybe 60%. 75%. Here we go. No, I'm not adding Joe Ryan. I'm not adding Jenkins. I'm not adding Ryan Jeffers. Come on, man. How about at 85%? So I'm happy at 80% right now. It's still a lot of money to give up. and we're really not getting that much back. I'm honestly, I'm just not that big of a fan of this deal anymore. Can I be truthful? I'd rather take the Rangers offer at this point. We're just getting Trey Morgan and Ha-Seong Kim. I'd rather chase the Rangers around. They're willing to give us a lot more. Emmanuel Clase, Matthew Boyd. There's Vargas again. You can just get Miguel Vargas. Everyone always gets Miguel. I mean, look, why would you not want to bring in Miguel Vargas? Man, Tristan Casas, that'd solve the first base problem. Can't run a bit. Man, if Tristan Casas stays in the league until he's old, he's going to be the slowest dude in the major leagues. I would not mind getting Kumar Rocker in this deal one bit. But yeah, we're going to start with Kumar Rocker here, and then we're going to go to the guy that they offered us, the actual prospect they want to give us. Because they offered us, I believe they offered us Yeremy Cabrera, and they offered us Alejandro Osuna. Okay, so they'd be over budget with that. And is there anybody that they want to deal, any veteran that they just want to get rid of? Marcus Semien is on a nightmare of a contract. Are you guys sure about that? There's no veteran you want to unload? There's no veteran you want to get rid of, Rangers. Adolis Garcia, that's a lot better. Oh, they signed Schwarber. Wow, interesting. For $37 million. He said he wanted 52. They got him down to 37. Wow, we're actually going to get this done. That is crazy. What a trade. Dasan Hill, not a bad pitcher. Thank you for showing me a decent player in my farm system. Here, this guy, Matt Cantorino. And we don't even have to retain anything. Wow. So I guess the Rangers just really highly value Pablo Lopez and like his stuff. Because compared to what we got offered for some of those other guys, this is like we had to go to war with Tampa to try to get them to take Pablo Lopez with 80% retained, and they're just giving us two of their top prospects, their starting right fielder, and one of their starters for him. So very different player values clearly between the Rangers and the Rays here. And Texas doesn't seem to have too many bullpen arms to pass along to us. I was going to look for a reliever, but they don't seem to have any good relievers. So I'm just going to take this trade like this. Pablo Lopez and Matt Cantorino for Kumar Rocker, Yeremy Cabrera, one of the best prospects in baseball, at least to my eye, Alejandro Osuna, and Adolis Garcia, who should get major league at-bats for us, even if I don't really believe in him, but we're probably not going to be very good this year, and he can be another guy in the DH conversation. Complete trade. We're making the current team worse so that we can have just a little bit better of a roster when the season starts. And those moves definitely did just make our team quite a bit deeper. We could also trade Joe Ryan. He's still very affordable, and the truth is we need a very definitive ace, and Joe Ryan is very much that. So the rotation is going to be a lot weaker as well now that we've traded away Pablo Lopez. We're going to bring in options, though. We're going to bring in Soroka. We're going to bring in May. We're going to bring in Steven Matz, of course. There's also Ryan Yarbrough, who can eat innings. But yeah, right now there really is no A option for replacing that rotation spot. But man, oh man, I think it's very worth it. I think it's worth it, given especially getting back Yeremy Cabrera, who looks like an incredible hitter, and who we are going to slide that way back and develop the young man's bat. He needs that power developed desperately. Everything should be pretty much into power. Move that gap down a little bit, get the eye up to even, move the avoid Ks down, and give me all the power. I want Yeremy Cabrera hitting bombs. Alejandro Osuna, same thing. We're going to prioritize gap power and power for him. His defense seems to be pretty much developed. Yeremy Cabrera, Alejandro Osuna, Adolis Garcia. He's on the Major League roster, doesn't need a development plan. Yeah, I think that trade's very worth it, considering that we also didn't have to give up anything. And I guess we can put Joe Ryan on. Nah, I'm just not even going to put him on the block. There's no point. I want to have an ace. I want to have a number one starter. And if he has a super sick season and, is honestly the kind of ace that we need, he'll definitely get brought up. David Festa's got 4 good pitches. I'm going to bring him up to the Major League roster while we're at it. And we're heading towards the Rule 5 draft with not as much on the block. And Steven Matz finally signs. And we have our lefty starter hopefully Rocco Baldelli is smart enough to put him in the rotation instead of in the bullpen. And yeah, he is in the rotation. Nice to have a lefty in there. And Kumar Rocker, of course, also slides into the rotation. So he's definitely not the pitcher that Pablo Lopez is, but he provides velocity and a good pitch repertoire at least. So Joe Ryan, Steven Matz, Kumar Rocker, Xavier Matthews, and Bailey over. That's a very Minnesota Twins rotation. That's a very early 2020s, mid 2020s Minnesota Twins rotation for sure. And Rikika Koyama signed with the Guardians, the Japanese player we mentioned. We'll go over all the big signings at the end of the postseason. Jose Alvarado also. So we get our new closer on $7.5 million for the next 2 years. And I'm going to put Royce Lewis on the trade block. And we'll see what kind of offers we get for him. We'll only really trade him for the right player. Michael Conforto wants more money, and that's understandable. See where we finished in the draft lottery as well. I'm just going to give him a major league contract. I'm just going to give him $3 million. Why not? $3 million over 1 year for Michael Conforto. Lots of contract news coming in the draft lottery. We are not in the top 6 picks. The Orioles win the draft lottery. Man, oh man. They already have a lot of talent on their team. They got even more talented in the Rockies, who had a brutal year. What did they finish? The Rockies in this simulation finished the season with a record of other side 50 and 112, which they're very capable of having a worse record than that in real life. That wasn't a bad last month of their season to end 50 and 112. Seeing some trades here. Devin Williams to the Rays, Real Muto to the Guardians. Guardians having a nice offseason. Dylan Cease to the White Sox. White Sox showing some ambition. You know what? This has been a long first episode, so I'm going to cut this one off here. We've traded away a couple of our big pieces, reshaped this team a little bit, hopefully started reshaping the future here of the Minnesota Twins. I think we're going to start to see the reality of this team, of what this team's going to be here in this series come to fruition, more so next year's trade deadline, next year's offseason. There's still a lot of this old team left, but we've certainly got a lot cooking here in the offseason already. We made a billion moves, really already shown a different face to this pitching staff. And hopefully eventually we get a different face to this lineup. Alejandro Osuna is already on the Major League team. So we're going to send him down to AAA, where he can develop. I think he'll eat AAA alive. He needs to develop that power. We already set that. All right, cool, great. Ryan Fitzgerald. Dude, who on earth is Ryan Fitzgerald? Who is this guy? I'm just gonna release him. I have no idea who this guy is. Bye, Ryan Fitzgerald. But yeah, man, we're hard at work here on the new look Minnesota Twins, and hopefully we can be a big factor in the AL Central once again sooner rather than later. So I'll see you on the next one. See you on episode 2. Like and subscribe.